You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Biz-Souls. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler, and we get to the heart and soul of business and the people that make it happen. And
as he sips his coffee.
For the 11th hour.
He's been drinking coffee for the past 4 hours. I'm surprised he's not vibrating.
Just keeping the engine running. And I have my golf cup out because we don't want to talk about hip hop. Oh, no, that's for another podcast. So that's why I picked this one out.
Okay. Well, that was inconsequential.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk about, what are we talking about?
We're talking about hypocrisy. And this is my pick for our podcast.
Yes.
And there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world, and it's pretty funny, and we got to get it. Like, for example, politicians caring about looking out for their constituents. There's some hypocrisy.
Yeah, on both sides. I think it's the nature of politicians to have an ego and want to be there and want to be in power. So it's, what can I do and say that will get me there?
Well, it's really weird. I was watching a thing on Genghis Khan and how he ruled and what he did. And some of his choices were very, very interesting. It was a combination of fear and power and other things. Mm-hmm. And I think that as human beings, we truly want to evolve. The leadership has to really change and decide to do it differently. And we have some leaders that do it differently. Richard Anderson, Delta Airlines, absolutely amazing. And I was critical of Ed Bastian when he came on for Delta Airlines. And that criticism is proving very valid. Nice guy, very affable. Mm-hmm. Except he thinks like a bad accountant, a CFO, right. And he's cutting. It's creating problems for Delta, even though they still are doing better than the other airlines. Anyway, things like that. So there's leadership hypocrisy,
right? And
leadership hypocrisy begins by doing mission statements versus the reality, or saying these are the values of our organization and not. Like, for example, any training organization. Anybody in the learning and development segment that won't share what's going on with the people that are working for the company.
So transparency.
Well, transparency. It's about inclusion and engagement. And if you talk about that stuff and don't engage your people, that's pretty hypocritical. And the idea is, engaging people, you have to develop their trust. Well, you don't develop trust by, just deciding, in the cold hard, this is what's going on and giving them a generic, vague answer. It's just hilarious. And in L&D, there's a huge learning organization, and they talk about, innovation, how important innovation is. And yet they're not innovative in their approaches.
I know that organization, and we both had dealings with it. And it's the same thing. It's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And it's a little scary.
Well, and one of the fights is, learning and development is not valued. Nobody values it. Training and HR are the first thing to get cut when companies get tight money. And then they put out a contract. If they want you to write and submit things for the magazine, the contract is completely predatory. Yeah. You write anything for them and anything on a subject you're an expert at, and they claim that you can't talk about that subject unless you get their permission. Now, do they intend to do that? No. Is a contract legal? No. It's in there though.
Yeah.
And it's just describes the poor value structure or the hypocrisy in leadership.
He's mad. He's very mad.
I'm not. Well, I am, because you need
you're disappointed.
Disappointed is it? Because they should set a positive example, not a negative example.
Well,
of what it is.
And they also tend to punish the good workers for it's like, well, we're taking away money, we're taking away what you're doing for us, or the time that we want you to work for us, because we want to give it to people who are unproven and who will take less money.
Right.
Sometimes you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Right. Exactly.
And, the reputation, it's their reputation. What? It's true.
It is true. Business people say, we're not lying. It's just we forgot what we said 5 minutes ago.
Right. Did I say that? Well, and I'm working with an organization now that's a startup, and they have hired us for our knowledge and expertise, and then they supposedly listen to us. They don't hear us. 5 minutes later, they're doing whatever they want to do, and they micromanage.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, no, this is not what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So ignore the CEO. And I say it right out loud. I'm like, you want to fire me? Go right ahead, because this is not a way to run a business. And it's just, and he doesn't do it out of spite or ego. He's just unaware. Maybe it's out of, it might be out of ego and fear. I think it's fear.
No, it's definitely fear-based, and it's also power-based.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with media. Media, legacy media they have lost most of the leadership. There is no trust in legacy media.
Oh, absolutely.
They've absolutely trashed their reputation for it. The problem is that the vast majority of people are not questioning what's going on. And so, media, even though they don't have a lot of trust, people are still grabbing things from them when it suits their purpose.
Well, yeah, it's confirmation bias.
And that, very good. And that is what leadership is doing. Yeah. The same exact thing. And the trouble is people growing up in this world that haven't got a lot of experiences that are coming into this world. That's why the problem going on in universities, and that they're being, fed so much stuff that
they have these kids have no idea what they're saying.
It's not their fault. It's the fault of the leadership, which in that case are the teachers and things like that.
And the upper management of the universities are so afraid of, and I can't believe, because I am a little left-leaning, that, yes, you can get too woke. And I think they are so afraid of backlash for anything that they don't say anything. Right. So that, to me, is just compliance. Right. And to the point that we just made, it's all fear-based. Yeah. So basically, to all the universities, grow a pair, will you?
Exactly. Well, they're starting to protect the students. They're starting to protect students, which is great. Hey, here's one for you.
Hey.
So if leadership,
he hit me, call HR. No,
yeah, exactly. If hypocrisy burned calories, the world would be a CrossFit center.
Okay. I don't even like CrossFit, but they would be certainly in better shape than we are now. But yes, very funny. Anyway, But there's, I want to talk about the other hypocrisy that, being in my business in the play world, I have come across, and I know you've heard me tell these that someone, I do play. I've developed a game. I can do, and it's hypocrisy in the sense that it's forced fun, which is, look, I don't want to do it. I don't want to play with you. This does not look like fun. Fun and play go hand in hand. Forced fun, I'm just going to get pissed off. It's like, you know what? We need to bond. Let's all go to karaoke. I have this game that I bought that's supposed to help communication. So we're all going to do it. If you make people play, that is not play.
So how do you handle that, Rona? So this is a good topic, because when I'm in a conference, depending my mood, I have a lot of mood swings.
He's worse than I am.
So there are times I'll go into a session and I want to hear somebody, and then they say, "Okay, we're going to start off by doing, I don't know, reach under your
like
chair."
a really bad icebreaker.
Yes,
I hate the term
like
icebreaker. Also, yeah.
So how would you get me? How do you with an audience member like me? I'm probably the worst candidate for trying to get engaged sometimes.
Well, you have to know your audience. B, you have to start slowly. Something that is, that is easy to do, that is maybe just everybody does it together. Whether it's raising their hands or doing something fun with their, if you only had 5 fingers to describe how you're feeling, how would your hand be shaped? Something like that. That is very low key, and it's like the shy child who doesn't want to play until they see other people doing it. Then they want to jump in. So it's not just and then you can go from there. And I always say, look, if you don't want to do this, that's fine. Watch and see what's the expression on everybody's faces. What's the emotion you're feeling? Get them involved in a secondary way so they don't feel left out.
Right. So, it does take a lot of expertise because somebody has to read that as it's going, and you have to be nimble to be able to change
Absolutely.
it if the audience isn't responding, and that's the expertise from the platform.
Right. And we just did a podcast on attendee experience, how keynotes and talks now are they want them to be very interactive. And unless you really know what you're doing, getting everybody to sing Kumbaya at the same time, not necessarily the right thing to do. You have to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, what the audience, what the personalities, and you can usually tell what industry you're in, things like that.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask a lot of questions. You have to do a lot of critical thinking.
So turning the mirror back on us, we did a Microjoy podcast a couple of episodes ago, and I just finished editing it and posting it. And I got to tell you, we didn't look very joyful while we were doing that one.
Oh, yeah?
So it almost could have been, there's some hypocrisy.
Okay.
So everybody...
I was probably pissed at Jeffrey for something.
I am sure you were. The thing is, though, is one of the things that we have to do with all the topics we're talking about is we got to start giving people a little grace.
Yes.
When they phone and understand that. So one of the things I do for Rona that drives her nuts, and I do this in
mansplain, direct. There are so many.
Exactly. Well, they're all on the same thing. I'll tell her something. I'll make a statement and tell her something, or I'll mansplain something, and so I've just told her in general. Look, whenever I say, this is the way we're going to do it. Just add to that, these are my ideas, and I'm looking for your input. So she has to have that in her head because I seem unable to add that.
That is very true. It's like, if this is a partnership and he comes in with, well, this is what we're doing from now on, and I'm like, I don't think so, and then we kind of butt heads a little bit. And that's when he said, all right, I am not explaining this very well. So just assume that even though I'm framing it like this, what I really mean is this. So we'll see how that works. I'll keep you guys posted.
And look, we've actually just done it, and we're gonna put a fork in this, or a pin, as I've said before.
Just stab it. Go ahead.
Is we've just demonstrated what you need. So you've got to have trust where you can laugh at yourself and laugh at things, and that trust takes a while to build.
It's been 5 years. We've been doing this. We've been together for 5 years.
And unfortunately, the environment in most companies right now, because of the direction HR is going, because of the wokeism and where it's gone, because of everybody's offended.
AI.
Everybody's offended at everything. That you just got to give people grace and look at it as humor. Yeah. So anyway, that's
don't take yourself and anything else too seriously because, this is what we got. This is the world where we're in, and if you don't laugh, you cry, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes. Just follow through. Don't be a hypocrite. And there we go.
Or be a very good hypocrite with a good sense of humor.
Yes, indeed. All right, that's all we have for today. Hit that like button, please. Subscribe. Make comments. I think it's over 7 words. That will really help us grow because we're trying.
Organically,
anyway, we're trying. All right, that's it for us. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler.
And this has been Biz-Souls.
Thank you.
Bye. You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.